Hey everyone, I'm the Saxophone Oracle. This week we're talking about jam sessions. So how do they work, the do's and don'ts, and everything else you need to know in order to have an enjoyable experience, and more importantly, in order to get welcomed back the next time. Everybody has to start somewhere, and jam sessions are a crucial part of learning how to play music, especially jazz music. Virtually every professional player cut their teeth at jam sessions, and more often than not, they had their behinds handed to them on a silver platter on many an occasion at these jam sessions. In many ways, it's a rite of passage. In theory, a jam session, an open mic night, whatever you want to call it, is open to anyone who wants to sit in and play. However, this isn't always the case. There's an established etiquette. There are some unwritten rules that must be adhered to. The principles of common sense apply heavily in these situations. But as we all know, common sense isn't all that common, especially these days. Or if you're new to music, you just may simply not know or understand how it all works. So here are some guidelines to help you navigate sitting in at a jam session. Number one, do your research. Yes, there's some research involved here. Because unless you're a top professional, a seasoned pro who has a huge list of songs that they know and are memorized and have experience playing in whatever style of music, don't expect to play the first time you walk through the doors. There are many types of jam sessions. First of all, what style of music are they playing? Is it a free jazz jam session? Are they playing the standard jazz repertoire? Is it funk musicians? Is it rock musicians? Is it a blues jam session? Second, what is the level? Is it a bunch of amateurs who are running this session and jamming? Is it a college student kind of thing? Or is it a professional jam session? Because yes, professional jam sessions exist. And that's not to say that an amateur musician wouldn't be welcomed on stage. But for example, where I live, there's a weekly jam session where the level of playing is exceptionally high. So all the top musicians, and if touring musicians are in town, come to this jam session. And mostly to hang out socially once a week and catch up with each other, but also to play some music. So go in and start by listening. Take in the atmosphere. Ask questions. See if this is the type of situation where you would be comfortable sitting in and contributing. Number two, do your homework. Yes, this sounds a lot like number one, do your research, but I want to talk about something different here. What I mean by this is be prepared and know the common repertoire. Have it memorized. Generally speaking, it's not cool to go to a jam session and start handing around sheet music. You know, this is what I want to play. Here's all the charts. And it's certainly not cool to go grab a music stand, put your fake book on it or your iPad or whatever it is. It's against the etiquette. So if we're talking about a jazz jam session, there's a list of like 10, 20, 30 ultra common standards that you should learn and know and be able to play from memory. These are universally accepted tunes around the world. Okay, at some point I'll make a video listing some of these songs that we should all be learning, but you need to learn them, or at the very least make the effort to learn the songs that are commonly played at the session you hope to join. Number three, manners are important. Be polite, be positive, be friendly, and very much be honest about your abilities. Introduce yourself to the person in charge. Hi, my name's Ricky Bobby, and I'm an amateur saxophone player from Springfield, USA. Boy, it sure would be great if I could sit in tonight at this session. How does it work? Is there a list that I sign up to, or do you just call people up? By the way, I've only been playing for a couple of years, and these are the kinds of tunes that I'm comfortable playing. So it would be really great. I'd really appreciate it if I could get the chance to sit in at some point tonight. Thank you, right? Always say please and thank you. It's common sense, but I mean, you'd be surprised. Now, under no circumstance, I stress this, never, ever just pull out your horn, put it together, and walk up on stage and start playing. That's a huge no-no. Always, I mean always, wait until you're invited to play. And when you're invited to play, be prepared. And by that I mean you've already spoken to the person in charge. You know they're going to call you up at some point, so have your horn ready. Don't be the person who gets called up and then they rush to the bar to get a glass of water so they can soak their reed for 5 minutes, and then put the horn together and go up and play. Again, common sense. Number 4, don't be a jerk. Again, this should go without saying, but you would be surprised. Okay, manners are important. Be nice, be gracious, don't overstay your welcome, don't belittle other musicians. Okay, the better players on stage should always accommodate the weakest player on stage. So if you're a bunch of pros and someone comes up who isn't as experienced, they might only know 5, 10 songs, don't go calling and insisting to play Upper Manhattan Medical Group or some other obscure song that this person surely won't know, right? Make them feel welcome. Don't make them uncomfortable on purpose. And the same thing goes, don't call a rhythm change at 400 beats per minute, okay? Common sense, people. Number 5, jam session is not American Idol or Star Search or the Thelonious Monk competition, right? A jam session isn't your personal place to show off in hopes that you're gonna get discovered. Okay, this is my biggest pet peeve. You're still in a musical situation, so play musically. Try and make music with everyone else on stage. Like, I can't stand these people who get up at a jam session and hog the microphone, and you've all seen it, I'm sure, and witnessed it. These people who come up and they play 20, 30 choruses, and they're just playing all their hottest licks in hopes that, I don't know, like Christian McBride's gonna walk by and just be like, oh wow, that's the sound I've been looking for. Pack your bags, we're going on tour in Japan for a year, you know? It's like, I'm sorry, I got news for you. That's not how the music industry works, and playing like that at a jam session is so not cool. All right, so here's a story I want to share with everyone. I used to have a bunch of endorsements, so saxophones, reeds, mouthpieces, ligatures, the whole thing. And so instrument manufacturers, they have these big trade shows. There's a huge one in Frankfurt, Germany. There's in Shanghai. Every year there's one in Los Angeles. And so the manufacturers pay for their artists to come down, and we demo the products and things like that, and network, whatever, the whole thing. So every night they have these jam sessions that are sponsored by a big gear company, right? Either a reed company or a mouthpiece company, something like that. And so it's suggested that I go down and play some tunes. So I walk into this huge hotel ballroom, right? And it's half empty, but there's a stage set up there, and it's filled with industry types who are getting drunk or schmoozing, but certainly not listening one bit to the unbelievable gong show that's happening on stage in front of everyone, right? So I'm told, go to the adjacent room and you can put your horn together for when you're ready to play. I walk into this room, and it is an equally large ballroom, and it's filled with about 300 saxophone players, and they're all facing the walls, and they're shredding altissimo and working on like their hottest, most flashy licks and everything, just chomping at the bit for their chance to get up on stage, show off, and get discovered by absolutely nobody. It was completely ridiculous, and it was surreal. It was like this enormous ballroom, and the entire middle of the room was like this black hole, and the walls were just pasted with saxophone players like flies to, you know, the Express, and it was out of this world. And the sound that was emanating from this room was it was a nightmare that not even Stephen King could describe. It was awful. So I walked in and I was like, whoa, bye, I'm out of here. It's just not my scene, but I digress. Number 6, use the gear that is provided. So when you get called up on stage, if there's no microphone, well, then you don't play with a microphone. If there's a microphone, then you play into the microphone that's there on stage. You do not bring your home studio with you and ask to plug it in and sound test or any of that. You just don't. It's completely against any kind of etiquette. Just don't do it. Number 7, this is the last tip I'm going to share this week, and it has to do with sitting in with bands or at shows. So I'm not talking about a jam session situation here anymore. So sitting in with a band. Generally speaking, this is a complete no-no. You don't do this unless you've spoken to the band in advance and get the okay from them. Never assume that you can sit in with a band. Bands have a specific repertoire. They have a show they've worked out, and they're there to perform. It's as simple as that. And in a lot of cases, bands get hired maybe a handful of times to play in the club around town or whatever it is. If you're not part of the band, don't expect or think that you should be able to go up and play with them. Now, if I'm playing in a jazz club, right, no one's getting on the stage with me unless I know the person personally and I know how they play intimately. Okay, and then if I do invite them up, it's going to be for one song, 2 songs max, and it's likely going to be at the very end of the set, or even more likely at the very end of the night, once we've finished presenting the show that we prepared and came there to give to everyone. I'm the Saxophone Oracle. This week we're talking about jam sessions, the etiquette, the do's and don'ts, all of that involved in jam sessions. I really do hope you found this somewhat useful. As always, thank you so much for continuing to watch. I truly appreciate it. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing. By subscribing, sending a like, leaving a comment, sharing with other people, it helps this channel grow and it helps YouTube make it so that other people can find my content a little more easily. So I'd love it if you could help out that way. I wish you a great week. Happy practicing. We'll see you next Tuesday.